You're able to see the screen?
Yes, Mataji. Can see.
Yeah. Somebody can read. Anyone wants to read first?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams.
Yes, Uma Mataji, you can read.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Chapter 6. How to discharge devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatana Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilasa for the guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of a spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of a spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of a spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles. Shall I continue, Mataji?
Somebody else can read next paragraph.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Sudha Mataji.
He mentions the basic principles as follows. 1. Accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. 2. Becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. 3. Obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. 4. Following in the footsteps of great acharyas, teachers, under the direction of the spiritual master. 5. Inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. 6. Being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared to give up something which we may not like to give up, and also we have to accept something which we may not like to accept. 7. Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavana. 8. Accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. 9. Observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. And 10. Worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So any other wants to read, they can raise their hands so that we can go on reading.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. These 10 items are preliminary necessities for beginning the discharge of devotional service in regulative principles. In the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above-mentioned 10 principles, surely he will quickly make good advancement in Krishna consciousness. Shall I continue?
Yes, Mataji.
The next set of instruction is listed as follows. 1. One should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. 2. One should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. 3. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. 4. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing on or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. 5th, one should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. 6th, one should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. 7th, One should not disrespect the demigods. 8th, one should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. 9th, one should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshipping the deity in the temple. 10th, one should be very intolerant toward the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nadaji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So anyone who wants to read? Please.
Can I continue or?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Can I continue, Mataji?
Shobha Mataji or Swayam Prabha?
Yeah, Shobha here, Mataji.
Okay.
Haribo. Without following, is it where I have to start, Mataji?
Yeah,
Without
yeah.
following the 10 principles, one cannot properly elevate himself to the platform of sadhana bhakti, sadhana
Sadhana
bhakti,
Bhakti.
or devotional service in practice. Altogether, Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned 20 items, and all of them are very important. Out of the 20, the first three, namely accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from him, and serving him with respect and reverence, are the most important. The next important items are as follows. One should decorate the body with tilak, with a sign of the, which is the sign of Vaishnavas. The idea is that as soon as a person sees these marks on the body of the Vaishnava, he will immediately remember Krishna. Lord Chaitanya said that a Vaishnava is he who, when seen, reminds one of Krishna. Therefore, it is essential that a Vaishnava mark his body with tilak to remind others of Krishna. In marking such tilak, sometimes one may write Hare Krishna on the body. Number three, one should accept flowers and garlands that has been offered to the deity and the spiritual master and put them on one's body. 4. One should learn to dance before the deity. 5. One should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity or the spiritual master. 6. As soon as one visits a temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. When the deity is being borne for a stroll in the street, a devotee should immediately follow the procession. In this connection, it may be noted that in India, especially in Vishnu temples, the system is that apart from the big deities who is permanently situated in the main area of the temple, there is a set of smaller deities that are taken in procession in the evening. In some temples, it is the custom to hold big procession in the evening with the band playing and the nice big umbrella over the deities, who sit on decorated thrones on a cart or palanquin, which is carried by devotees. The deities come out onto the street and travel in the neighborhood while the people of the neighborhood come out to offer prasada. The residents of the neighborhood all follow the procession. So it is very nice scene when the deity is coming out. The servitors in the temple put forward the daily accounts before them. So much was the collection, so much was the expenditure. The whole idea is that the deity is considered to be the proprietor of the whole establishment, and all the priests and other people taking care of the temple are considered to be the servants of the deity. This system is very, very old and is still followed. So therefore it is mentioned here that when the deity is on stroll, the people should follow behind. Number 8, a devotee must visit a Vishnu temple at least once or twice every day, morning and evening. In Vrindavana, this system is followed very strictly. All the devotees in town go every morning and evening to visit different temples. Therefore, during these times, there are considerable crowds all over the city. There are about 5,000 temples in Vrindavana city. Of course, it is not possible to visit all the temples, but there are at least 1 dozen very big and important temples, which are started by the Goswamis and which should be visited. Number 9, one must circumambulate.
Mataji, ninth,
Haribol.
somebody else can read.
Hare Krishna, thanks Mataji, Haribol.
Thank you. Pradeep Prabhu can recite this, read this.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Right.
One must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. In every temple, there is an arrangement to go around the temple at least 3 times. Some devotees go around more than 3 times, 10 times, 15 times, according to their vows. The Goswamis used to, Mataji,
Yeah.
the Goswamis used to, the
Circumambulate,
Goswami, Mataji, it has gone up, I think. And the Goswamis used to circumambulate the Gundam Hill. One should also circumambulate the whole Vrindavana area. One must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulations principles, offering aarti and prasada, decorating the deity, etc. These things must be observed but regularly. One must render personal service to the deities. One must sing. One must perform Sankirtana. One must chant. One must offer prayers. One must recite notable prayers. One must taste the Mahaprasada, food from every plate offered before the deities. One must drink Charnamrita, water from the bathing of the deities. This is offered to the guests. One must smell the incense and flowers offered to the deity. One must touch the lotus feet of the deity. One must see the deity with great devotion. One must offer aarti, saptartika, at aratrika
Rika.
at different times. One must hear about the Lord and this pastimes from Srimad Bhagavatam, Gita, and similar books. One must praise the deity for his mercy. One should, Mataji, please go on.
1 minute.
One should,
Yeah.
one should, one should remember the deity. One should meditate upon the deity. One should render some voluntary service. One should think of the deity as one's friend. One should offer everything to the deity. One should offer a favorite article such as food or a garment. One should take all kinds of risks and perform all endeavors for Krishna's benefit. In every condition, one should be surrendered soul. One should pour water on the Tulsi tree. One should regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam and similar literature. One should live in a secret place like Madhura, Vrindavana, or Dwaraka. One should offer service to Vaishnava devotees. One should arrange one's devotional service according to one's means. In the month of Kartika, this is October, November, October and November, one should make arrangements for special services. One should, during Janmashtami, the time of Krishna's appearance in this world, one should observe special service. One should do whatever is done. One should do whatever is done with great care and devotion for the deity. One should release the pressure of Bhagavatam reading among the devotees and not outsiders. One should associate with the devotees who are considered more advanced. One should chant the holy name of the Lord. One should live in the jurisdiction of Madhura. Now the total regulative principles come to an aggregate of 64 items. As we have mentioned, the first are the primary 10 regulative principles. Then comes the secondary 10 regulative principles, and added to these are 44 other activities. So altogether, there are 64 items for discharging the regulative principles of devotional service. Out of these 64 items, 5 items, namely worshipping the deity, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, associating among the devotees, Sankirtana, and living in Madhura, are very important. 64
Thank you,
items of
Mataji.
devotional service. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, thank you. Okay. Padma Mataji, you can read this and complete.
Small para. I'll start from the 64 items. Mataji?
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
The 64 items of devotional service should include all of our activities of body, mind, and speech. As stated in the beginning, the regulatory principles of devotional service enjoins that all of our senses must be employed in the service of the Lord. Exactly how they can be thus employed is described in the above 64 items. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami will give evidence from different scriptures supporting the authenticity of many of these points. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So basically, in the previous chapter, we read about the purity of devotional service. So in this chapter, Rupa Goswami is talking about how to discharge devotional service. So there are 64 angas. So that is what we read now. So there are 64 items of sadhana bhakti. So the first 10 plus 10, the first 10 what we read, and then again 10, those are the primary importance. Okay, in that again, so totally there were 20. We'll go back, we'll see that. See. So what we read in this paragraph is the first 10 items. So these are the preliminary necessity for beginning the discharge of devotional service. And then what we read in this 10 is the other 10. So this 10 and that 10 together consists of how many? 20. So these are the items of primary importance. And the first one, the first 10, these are the activities which accept, like activities to accept, like what we should be doing. And the next 10 are the activities to avoid. So you can see like in this accepting the shelter. So in this, these are all do's. So in this, you can see that you should give up the company of non-devotees. You should not instruct a person. So these are all don'ts. So these are the 20 primary importance. So these are 20. So what is, how many are left? So there are 44 still left. So in that 44, we read all the 44 just now. So in that, some are like, they are additional items of service, like circumambulating the temple, all those things. So these are the 24 angas of sadhana bhakti. And in that, the 5 most effective items which we read now, what are they? Anybody remembers?
Worshipping the deity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so here it is
Accepting the
mentioned.
shelter of a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master.
The devotees.
That comes in the first 20 items, Mataji. So among the
Yes.
64 items, the first 5 items. So these are the
Yes.
major 5 items, like worshipping the deity, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating among the devotees, Sankirtan, and living in Mathura are the very important ones. So these are the 5 major ones. And what you told is also correct. That comes under the 20 ones here.
It's after 20, Mataji.
So the 5 which comes among 64, and out of the 20, that first 20 what we read, the do's and don'ts what I told. So we will go summarize in detail a little bit, and actually in more detail, more references from the scriptures will come in the 7th chapter. So you will read more about like some of the few things where you need more explanation. So those things will come in more detail in 7th chapter. So we are just as Rupa Goswami is giving only the principles here. He is not trying to explain more anything on this. So those whatever is important will come with some more references through scriptures in chapter 7. So we should just, in those 64 angas, what and all we can do, now we are already doing. In that, what else we can do, or if something is missing, so what we can add up, we can think about that. Or whatever we are doing, how best we can do, we can think about that, so that we can progress faster in devotional service. So out of the 20, the first 3, accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from him, and serving him with respect and reverence are the most important. So this comes under the first 20. These are the preliminary for performing devotional practices. So the first one, what we read was taking shelter of Guru. So accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. So here Rupa Goswami is listing the most crucial item first. So following this one principle, that accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master is very, very essential and very, very important. So this is like Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of Guru. So when we start following this one principle, what will happen? It will open the doors to all 63 other items of sadhana, because the spiritual master will instruct one about the execution and significance of them all. So the importance of this item is will become clear here also, because Rupa Goswami in coming chapter, in 7th chapter, also tells Tasmat Gurum Prapadyate Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. So how will you take shelter of Guru? So when there is a person who has understood that this material world is full of sense gratification and needs to go for, when that inclination for spirituality comes, the questioning comes, the inquiries comes. So what we do? Then we approach a bona fide spiritual master. So why this bhakti or devotional service is to be done? Because engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, who the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is again the master of all senses, Rishikesha. So when the spirit soul renders service to the Supreme, so what happens here? There are two things. One, he is freed from all these material designations and can come out of material degradation also. And when we are serving the Lord, the senses are also purified simply by engaging ourselves in the service of the Lord. So the second point is you have to take shelter. So taking shelter is becoming initiated. So accepting initiation and learning how to discharge devotional service from him and obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. That is the third point. So these two are very, very important. So Tasmat Krishna Dikshadi Shikshana. So then after initiation, acquiring the spiritual knowledge. So when we take initiation and when we have taken shelter of the spiritual master, and when we receive the instructions from him, and when we sincerely start following the instructions of the spiritual master, we will be empowered by them, and whatever instructions is being told, we will be able to do it nicely. So So here Rupa Goswami mentions in coming 7th chapter. I'm just summarizing few points so that to understand this. Like a disciple has to accept spiritual master not only as a spiritual master but a representative of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we reject, in the sense, when we have taken shelter of a spiritual master, we accept him with full faith. So what is this initiation or diksha? It is this spiritual master's also formal acceptance of the disciple's commitment and faith. So without this commitment, even a disciple will not be able to possess the faith required to assimilate the instructions of whatever the Guru has given. So Srila Prabhupada explains here. So one should read and learn Srimad Bhagavatam seriously with all respect and veneration which is coming from spiritual master. And how we should serve the spiritual master? With faith, with respect. So with faith and confidence. So here when we accept the Guru, that is like when we take shelter and when we have taken initiation under him, so that will execute, this too will help us in executing the service to Guru. So faithfully and confidently, when we are hearing from the spiritual master, we can elevate to the platform of loving service to the Guru also and to the Lord also. So here the Guru also should be served or should be accepted as the Lord himself. So he's non-different, knowing that the spiritual master is non-different from the Lord, even though he is been coming under the representative of the Lord. So we should be serving him just like the Lord. He is not the Lord, but we have to serve him how we serve the Supreme Lord. So in that way, the disciple should serve the Guru with respect and with faith. Then the fourth point is following in the footsteps of great acharyas under the directions of the spiritual master. So we have to follow in the footsteps. So basically, other than our spiritual master, we should be following the other acharyas also, like the bona fide sadhus or the acharyas who comes in the line of disciplic succession. And also, so whatever the Guru is teaching, there is no difference in the Guru's teachings and the teachings of Guru Parampara. So that is how a Guru becomes bona fide, when he is teaching accordingly to the Guru Parampara. So if he does not go according to the Guru Parampara, and if he does not present the scriptures strictly according to Guru Parampara, the Guru is not considered a bona fide and is not adherence to him. So here giving an example of Lord Buddha, where he is the personality of Godhead himself, but his followers are not practicing pure devotional services. There are various reasons for that, and Buddha also did not exactly present the scriptures coming in the Guru Parampara. His incarnation is for a different purpose. So I'm just giving an example in terms of following strictly under the Guru Parampara. And The fifth one is inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. So when we are reading or studying the Shastras, so there might arise lot of questions, and like we may need to contemplate whenever we are reading the Shastras. So whatever question arises, we need to note it down, and then we can ask these questions to some senior devotees. So this again is mentioned here as a devotional service. So just inquiring about how to advance in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, you can also ask the spiritual master. So all this also inquiring is also from the spiritual master and senior devotees is also one of the anga here. And the sixth one, the explanation is very clearly given here. Being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here it is mentioned whatever is intent to please the Lord, or whatever is intent for performing the devotional service, if we have to give up something or if we have to accept something, we have to give up onion and garlic. So we have to be prepared to give that, right? We have to accept chanting 16 rounds daily, or accept to get up early in the morning, all such things, whichever is possible to give up anything material. So we should be ready to do that. So most of us are doing that. Then residing in some place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. So here basically the mood, why it is told to reside in Dwarka or Vrindavan, to be in proper conscious. But wherever we are at present now, if we are consciously able to remember Krishna and consciously do hearing or reading or chanting, everything related with the devotional practices, then Prabhupada mentions that our heart is in Vrindavan. So accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as possible. So here it is to mention that whatever is necessary for physical maintenance of this body, so only that much should be accepted. Only what is necessary in dealing with the body. So Prabhupada mentions that it is like if one fixes up a regulative principle according to his own ability and follows that woe without fail, that will make him advance in spiritual life. So whatever is required, so according to our ability, that this much is enough for us. It should not be more than we cannot accept more or less here. It should be how much is necessary for the maintenance of the body, and which will also help us progress in our bhakti. Only that much should be accepted here. Then observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. So Ekadashi, we know that it's not basically only to fast over here. It is majorly to remember the Lord more importantly. So the essence is to remember the Lord more and do more devotional practices on Ekadashi rather than focusing more on fasting. So if some people does not able to fast completely like Nirjal or all those things, they can have some Ekadashi food and do the devotional practices more. So the essence is to mainly to remember the Lord and do devotional practices more seriously. Then worshipping sacred trees. So here in this sacred tree also comes banyan tree, then amalaki trees, the tulsi. The tulsi comes one more point over there in the next anga also. So the cows. So giving respect to all of that. So this covers the first 10. So these are the main things. And then these are the do's which you should be able to do. And then comes the don'ts. So one should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. So Rupa Goswami actually mentions this very seriously, referring to two quotes. He mentions two quotes here. So one is that if Rupa Goswami is like very strongly mentioning that you should not take, you should not associate or you should not have a company of non-devotees at all, because that is the most uh, reverence for us to referentially, that will distract us more when we are in the company of non-devotees. So company in the sense you are associating with that person. For example, some of you may be working over there, so you are only doing your job and whatever is necessity with your co-workers to associate how much it is required regarding the work, other than sharing any other things. So Rupa Goswami tells that even if one is forced to live in a cage of iron or in some midst of some fire, blazing fire, it is better to accept such a position rather than living with some non-devotees. And that also here he is mentioning the non-devotees in the sense who are against the supremacy of the Lord, who are more of atheistic nature, who argue with you. So, and the second point he mentions is that we can also prefer to embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator. So all these animals are uh, very cruel in nature. They may harm you, right? So they may kill you also. So Rupa Goswami is telling it is better to associate with them rather than people who are atheist and who are materially desiring. So it is better not to associate with people of non-devotees. So this point is very important, so that because there are chances that whatever we speak with them, whatever we associate with them, it remains in our mind and it keeps on coming to us, and slowly we become like them. Instead of we making them devotees, we become like them. So that is very, very dangerous. So we should never have association of non-devotees. And one should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. So here basically we know that when we tell the before we chant the holy name, we tell the 11 instruction that we are not supposed to speak about devotional practices to a person who does not have any faith. So here persons who don't have any faith in the Supreme Lord and who don't know anything about devotional service, who are not in that accepting mood, we should never instruct. So this also comes in the before we chant the 11 things which we recite. And one should not be enthusiastic about constructing temples or monasteries. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning their livelihood by professionally reciting Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. So basically, what are the things where when we start building more temples, or reading more books. So what happens? So basically, when we build more temples or anything, there comes fame that I have built this temple and reputation. So even though it may be for spreading Krishna conscious, but the intention or the mood to build costly temples or involve in that is for getting fame or reputation sometimes. So that is not is required here. And we have seen mm, about Prabhupada's guru telling him that we don't want temples more. If you have money, go and print books. This was the instruction given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to Srila Prabhupada, that if you have money, go and print books. We don't want more and more temples to come. Why? Because we become, sometimes what happens? So here Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that, so when there are temples, then there comes the friction in between the devotees also. Maya attacks very easily. So the thought process starts over there. Who will occupy this room in the temple? Who will occupy that room? Who will take care of this room? Who will be the proprietor for this room? So this thought process also goes on. So Maya attacks very fastly. So that is why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was mentioning that it is better to take the marble from the walls and secure the money, and then we can go and print the books. So this comes in a conversation in Leelamrit, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is mentioning it to Prabhupada and urging him to use the money, whatever comes, to print books. So we are not against building temples, but more inclination should be in printing books, so that more and more souls can be reached by reading the books. And here Prabhupada is telling about reading other books other than Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. This much is enough for one person, because when we read too many books, we may be inclined to impress others in delivering lectures, right? Other than, so which leads to some false prestige. So avoiding our false prestige, fame, and reputation, all those things also becomes an integral item of this sadhana. So you can see that how few things we can avoid. So one should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings also. So we should be straightforward in our dealings. And so sometimes a devotee must deal with money, right? So an ordinary dealing. So the tendency or our conditioning will be there sometimes to cheat. But Prabhupada is telling here that we should be straightforward in our dealings. So we should not do, we should leave all this tendency of cheating propensities also. We must practice honesty in all our dealings and always remain Krishna conscious and straightforward. So this is an important part which Prabhupada is trying to tell us, that just because we come into devotional practices or trying to follow, we should also try to be proper in our dealings also. Because when we come to devotional practices and when we take up to initiation or anything, we are representing, even if you have not taken initiation, but you are following devotional practices, you are following ISKCON, suppose. So you are representing ISKCON. So people if you try to cheat or if you are not dealing properly with others, so they will tell, ISKCON people are like this only. They will cheat. They don't know how to deal. So that is the impression we get. So Prabhupada is telling us that we should be honest in our dealings. We should be straightforward in our dealings. So we should not neglect thinking that it is okay, it is a material word, everyone cheats, so let me also cheat. No. So that consciousness should not be come to our mind also. So that is what Prabhupada is trying to tell us here in terms of what Rupa Goswami is mentioning here. And one should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. So this point we see in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What is the shloka over there? Anybody remembers? Matra Sparshas.
Tu Kaunteya,
Shitoshna
Shitoshna,
Sukha Dukkha
Sukha
Agama Payino
Agama Pavyo,
Tam Sab
Vishwabharati.
So same thing. What Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Rupa Goswami is mentioning here. So whether we are in loss or in gain, we should not lament or jubilate. We should be equipoised with whatever comes. The seventh one is no disrespect to the demigods, because the demigods are also representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are also trying to do the service. So they are also considered as Vaishnavas. So we should be giving respect to the demigods. And one should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. So Jiva Daya. So we should be compassionate to all the living entities, and unnecessarily we should not try to harm them or give trouble. And one should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshipping the deity in temple. So one of the main thing we keep always hearing about, avoiding the various offenses. So there are 11 offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord. So we should be very careful in avoiding that so that we can progress faster. So we know all about the 11 offenses, and we should be carefully worshipping the deities in temple, because the deity is not different from their lordships. So we are worshipping the Lord himself there. So we need to be careful when we are worshipping the deities. And one should not tolerate any blasphemy of the Lord or his devotees. So if we cannot, it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that if we cannot tolerate it, so we should leave the place immediately if they are offending the devotees, or like if we are not capable of fighting against or arguing with them, so we should just leave the place over there. Or like any blasphemy of the Lord or any of the devotees has been speaking. So this is about the first 20, and the other 44 which we read, they are the simple ones, like we should decorate, we should always put tilak. So one is, it is a sign of the Vaishnavas, and it always, whoever sees the tilak, whoever person is seeing your tilak on your face and on your whole body, it should remind them of Krishna. And it also protects us. So in marking again, you write the Lord's names also can be written. And the third one is you have to accept the garlands which is offered to the deity. So all this comes under 64 angas. So these are the simple ones, but how much it carries comes under the 64 angas. So we should dance. So sometimes some of them feel embarrassed or does not feel comfortable to dance, but this comes under one among the 64 angas. So next time, if anyone tells you to dance, never forget it comes under the 64 angas. So you can always learn to dance before the deity. And whenever we see the deities or the spiritual master, we need to bow down. The sixth one, I myself don't know the proper reason for this. So I'll try to find about this. So whenever one visits a temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. Like we will be walking only, so I didn't get what exactly this means. And the seventh point is the deity when it is come out, the vigrahas which are usually taken for the procession. So whichever temple you might have seen, the Vishnu temples or wherever, you need to go around if you have seen it at least few steps, at least, even though you are whatever busy or if your path is different. If you see if any Ratha Yatra is going on, you can just involve in that, or any of the deities being carried. So you can just follow the procession. And so a detailed thing what we read. And devotee visiting any Vishnu temple. So Prabhupada is not, Rupa Goswami or Prabhupada also is mentioning about how different temples the devotees keep on going on visiting. So whatever is nearby to you, whatever you can do that at least once. And when you go to a temple, circumambulating the temple. So this is also an easy way. So at least 3 times you can circumambulate. And then worshipping the deity in the temple according to the regulative principles. So this is regarding the deity worship. So if you are capable of doing that, then do it nicely. And if you have deities at home also, you can do worship nicely, offering aarti, offering bhoga, decorating the deities with flowers, with jewels, with clothes, all these things if you have deities at home. Or if you get an opportunity to dress some other your devotee friends, deities also, that time you can always utilize that seva. And some personal service to the deities. You can sing, you can do kirtan, you can chant, you can offer some prayers, some notable prayers from the scriptures. And also, we all know that we should taste Mahaprasad. So most of you have done that. And then drink Charanamrit. So basically, if you are able to drink Charanamrit every day, that is too good. And then the flowers, the incense, which is offered to the deities, you must smell that. So if you get an opportunity to touch the lotus feet of the deities, then you should touch that. And the main important, you need to see the deity with great devotion. So offering aarti and hearing about the Lord and his pastime from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and similar books. So hearing process is mentioned here. And we always pray to the deity for showering his mercy upon us so that we can practice devotional practices very nicely and very seriously. So always remembering the deities. If you don't have at home, you may be attracted to the deities all over the world. So you can always remember those deities. You can meditate upon those deities. And whichever form of the Lord you are attracted to, you can always remember and meditate upon those deity form of the Lord. And some voluntary service wherever it is possible for you to go and give in some temple, you can always do that. And we know that the Lord is in our heart. So he is in 5th chapter, the last verse, right? Krishna mentions that he is our friend, he is our well-wisher. So we should always meditate on this verse. then one should offer everything to the Lord. So whatever we bring, whether it is a flower or a fruit, right, or some garments also, it comes in the next part, a garment or anything, whatever you get it for yourselves, some new garments. So you can always offer it to the Lord and then wear it. So when you are performing any service or any endeavors, you should be ready to do it for Krishna's benefit, not for our benefit, but for Krishna's benefit. So one should be a surrendered soul. So we are trying to surrender to the Lord. So and then pouring water on Tulsi tree, and this is every day comes under our daily practice, and then hearing Bhagavatam, and then living in a sacred place like Mathura. So this comes under again under the 60, one of the 5 items. One should offer service to the devotees also. So Prabhupada mentions here that not only offering service to the deities, we should also offer service to the devotees, so that by pleasing devotees, the Lord is also pleased. And so whatever devotional service one can do according to their level, they can perform here. And we know that there are some special services, special way of worshipping the deities in the month of Kartik. So, and during Janmashtami. So that special services, whatever is available, we can always utilize to do that service. So how we have to do the devotional practices? So many devotional practices has been mentioned here. With great care and devotion for the lordships. We have to do whatever we are doing, we have to do it with great care, love and care and devotion here. And discussing Bhagavatam and reading should be done among the devotees and not among the outsiders, because we will not relish the scripture otherwise. And one should always associate with devotees who are considered more advanced than ourselves. So some senior devotees whom we consider, we can always associate with them, take their association. Or if you cannot associate personally with them, we can always associate by hearing their lectures or things like that. And most important, to chant the holy name of the Lord. And one should live in the justification of Mathura. So whatever is possible in this 64 items, whichever is mentioned, we can always start doing that. If something which you think is possible, it's not difficult, I can try, then you can start doing that. So this is all about the 64 items, which I've just summarized and given little detail. So this comes in great details about like, for example, evidence regarding devotional principles, accepting the shelter. So whatever evidences is required for mentioning about the 64 angas, in great detail, the evidences are mentioned in chapter 7 and few in chapter 8 also. So thank you very much. We have exceeded the time.
Mataji, can you answer one small question?
Yeah.
Mataji, this see, in the first 10 of these devotional service, number 10, worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. What's the significance, Mataji?
We tell it as Alada Mara, right? Banyan tree.
I didn't get it, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Alad Mara.
Correct, no? So
what is that? What is that?
It's in Kannada, Mataji.
It's in Kannada, yeah.
How do we do it, Mataji, worshipping sacred trees?
In some of the temples, in some of the Vishnu temples, these trees will be there, Mataji. This banyan
in a
tree.
Compound also, Mataji. In a compound also, there's a big tree. People come and tie it with a red like a thread around the tree and keep some Ganesha's picture down and worship. I don't know why. What is it? What significance it has?
Roots will be coming down, Mataji. We can see the roots there from the stems.
Yeah, I know the tree, but what's the significance? Why are we worshiping? Why are we worshiping banyan tree? The reason only I want to know, Mataji.
So 64 numbers.
It is one of the sacred tree, Mataji. So, so exactly why do they worship? I don't know. It's considered as one of the sacred trees. So something like banyan tree, or when we worship Tulsi plant. So similarly like that.
Tulsi,
maybe
okay,
mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Mataji.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we know. That,
Yeah.
Mention of banyan tree is also there in the 15th chapter. Yeah, that
Yes,
is one
Mataji.
part. But exactly like how we know the significance of Tulsi tree, she's
Yes.
been considered as pure devotee. Like that, I don't know exactly what is the significance of.
Okay, Mataji. Because in Bhagavad
Maybe
Gita,
it
they
is,
only refer the
it
twigs and the branches.
comes in the, yeah, it comes as one of the angas over here. So we can understand by that that is the reason why it is being worshipped. But if I come across anything as such greater significance, I'll share it in the group, Mataji.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mataji. 15th chapter in Bhagavad Gita is all about detachment. You know, like how the roots are going right down like that. Our desires
Yeah, but
are
the example is given about explaining about with the reference with banyan tree. So like that.
Yes.
And its roots.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji, thank you so much. Danda Pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatrubhisha, Kripa Sindhubhyavacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo, Ananta Koti Vaishnavandhi Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Right.